career, housing, financial stability, a car, a wife. This was Alex Trenton's plan by the time he turned 30. But plans are volatile currency. You can't build on them unless you stay on course. Alex didn't. Or rather, he couldn't. In the end, he failed at 2 businesses, burned himself in long-term relationships, and barely extinguished the fire of his debts. A mortgage was out of the question, and his landlord raised the rent again. He had to look for something more modest. And he found it. Yes, he had to move out of the downtown area. Yes, the apartment was in an old building. Yes, the decor was Grandpa's vintage empire with a matching smell. But at least it was cheap. The apartment was rented out by the children of the former owner as soon as he received his last certificate. They rented it for pennies, just to get it off their hands. Alex was glad for the deal and didn't bother to look a gift horse in the mouth. On the day of the move, his first action was to fling the windows wide open to air out the past. But the past didn't air out and caught him off guard closer to midnight. Lying on the couch and scrolling through other people's lives on his phone, Alex almost met St. Peter when the nightstand near his head let out a roar. Alex bolted into the bathroom, spending a minute gathering his wits. When the noise stopped, he returned to the living room and approached the nightstand as if it were packed with explosives. Opening its door, he found an old landline phone inside. The cord came out of the wall. Seriously? They couldn't warn me? Do these things even work anymore? He thought, planning to yank the cord out. But he didn't have time. The phone rang again. Picking up, Alex pressed the receiver to his ear, expecting nonsense. And his expectations were met. "Denver," said a gruff, elderly voice. "What?" Alex replied. "Denver," the voice repeated impatiently. "It's your turn with S. Who are you trying to call?" "The United States, duh." "Mike, it's your turn with S." "Sorry, Mike doesn't live here anymore," Alex said sympathetically. "He doesn't? Well then, who does?" "I'm Alex," he replied patiently. He was about to ask not to call again, but the voice interrupted. "It's your turn with S. Listen, I don't have time." "Alex, right?" "Yes." "Alex, I spent a month in the hospital and came back just to finish this duel. Next time, I might not have the strength to come back and might go straight to Mike. And I don't want to leave this world a loser. So, Alex, it's your turn with S," the receiver demanded, clearly not taking no for an answer. "Sacramento," Alex surrendered. "Already said. I'm keeping track." "What the?" "All right, San Diego." "Used." Feeling around the nightstand, Alex found a checkered notebook, written in by about a third. Mostly it contained city names, but here and there were crude drawings of women, notes on pension amounts, a list of medications, and other elderly scribbles. At the end, after Virginia, Alex spotted a message left by the former tenant, Eugene Carter, type 3 diabetes. "Please beat this old buzzard so his life doesn't feel sweet." "You taking your time?" the receiver prompted. "Can I just forfeit?" Alex asked. "A duelist can't forfeit. They can only die." Alex was about to say that's exactly what happened, but he reread the note, took a long breath of consideration, and said, "Atlanta. Another Columbus wannabe. You're not cheating with a globe, are you?" "No, not cheating." Alex, not knowing why, wrote the city name in the notebook, but before he could close it, the receiver shot back. "Orlando. Listen, I really don't have time. Orlando. It's your turn with O," the voice wouldn't hear it. "Omaha," Alex conceded. The game continued until 10 that evening, ending as abruptly as it started, The other side simply hung up without a goodbye. The next day, Alex called the owners and asked to disconnect the phone. "You have to file a request, and I'm out of town. Let's do it in a couple of days." "Just hang up the receiver if it bothers you," the current owner suggested. Truth be told, Alex wasn't too upset. This problem was minor compared to the avalanche of failures rolling down the hill of his life. So he quickly forgot about the call until evening, when the nightstand nearly sent him to join Mike, the phone's previous duelist, who hadn't finished his city's game. "Seattle, your turn with E," the now familiar voice said, skipping greetings. "Eugene," Alex skimmed the list. "El Paso. Orlando." "Pushing hard, huh?" growled the receiver, "but that's okay. I've beaten worse." Alex decided to end the duel and started naming cities with repeating endings, but despite the internet at his fingertips, he somehow stuck to honor, which the voice occasionally reminded him about. "Put the globe away, you cheat." "How do you know my name?" "I'm not cheating." "Addis Ababa." "I don't care about your name or your cheats. I'll beat you anyway because I know cities so secret they aren't on the map." "Amsterdam." That day's game ended at exactly 10 o'clock again. But this time, Alex found himself getting into the spirit. The opponent was strong and passionate, and his drive for victory rubbed off on Alex, who even felt a pang of disappointment when he realized the duel was postponed again. "At this rate, Pushkin would have lived to see our time," he thought as he went to bed. For the next week, Alex was slightly distracted. Instead of thinking about the batteries he sold, he mentally composed lists of cities and planned his strategy. At one point, a customer approached him. "I'm looking for a popular model. Can't remember the name, just that it's Czech and starts with V." "Villarad." "Your turn with D," Alex shouted gleefully, naming a Czech city where his former classmate lived. The man looked at the salesman like he was crazy, then silently went to consult another clerk. Alex was reprimanded and advised to take some calming pills. Coming home, he decided it was time to end these nightly duels that were disrupting his life and unplugged the phone. But at 9:03 p.m., he couldn't resist, like an alcoholic breaking sobriety, and plugged it back in. The phone rang immediately. "Kansas City," Eugene Carter began, but the sound was strange today, unusual. "You okay over there?" Alex asked. "Something's wrong with your mic, I think." "I'm fine. Visiting my sister, and her phone's junk." "Focus. Your turn with Y." "Since you're visiting, can we postpone?" Lermontov and Martinov didn't postpone, and neither will we. "To arms." They played for a whole week until the following Monday, when the apartment owner called and reminded Alex about disconnecting the phone. "Tomorrow I'll file the request," the landlord said. "Wait, no need. Let it stay," Alex backtracked. "Why?" The man was puzzled. "You'd have to pay for it." "Did your cell break?" "No, everything's fine." "I'll pay." "But why?" he repeated. "I have a duel going on," Alex said, flipping through the notebook of city names. His knowledge was running out, but he still felt ready to fight. "I don't get it." "Fine, it's your call," the landlord said wearily and hung up. That evening, as usual, Alex was ready for another battle. He brewed a liter of tea, arranged some crackers on a plate, and massaged his temples. But to his surprise, Eugene Carter surrendered. "I've thought all day but couldn't remember any more cities." "Hard to admit, but you, son of a gun, won." "Yes." Alex cheered, but for some reason, the victory felt hollow and fleeting. "So, that's it? Our duel is over?" Alex couldn't hide the disappointment creeping into his voice and heart. The tea cooled, and the crackers quickly lost their appeal. Seems so. Alright, take care, Globe. Have a good evening. And congrats. Alex hung up, feeling more empty than ever. For 3 days, the phone didn't ring. Alex even started to worry, thinking that Eugene Carter, God forbid, had gone to meet St. Peter. But then, on Thursday, the nightstand rang again. Before, said a familiar voice without greeting. Alex took a moment to process before understanding. Opening the notebook, he hastily sketched 2 grids and began outlining the ships. Miss. A 6. Hit, you bastard. Alex exhaled. The duel continued. For 6 months, Alex spent an hour every evening by the phone, sinking fleets, marking XS and OS, solving puzzles, and sipping tea or cocoa. Apart from that, little changed in his life. He was still broke, selling batteries, carless, without a new business or a wife. But he had a conditional friend rival with whom it was pleasant to spend an hour a day in light-hearted competition and occasional banter. But even that couldn't last forever. One day, the calls stopped again. Eugene Carter vanished, this time for good. The phone was silent for a month, and Alex had no number to call and check on him. The former owner hadn't bothered to leave it, and the phone itself was ancient, with no caller ID. Evenings began to echo with melancholy and boredom, the kind that creeps into prolonged solitude. Alex even considered calling the landlord again to ask about disconnecting the phone. But one evening, the nightstand jolted him out of his gloom. Alex picked up the receiver with a trembling hand and, without greeting, said joyfully, G7. Hit, came an unfamiliar, soft female voice. What? Who are you? Hello, Alex stammered. Good evening, I'm Alice, the voice chimed, sweet and bashful like the first spring thaw. Grandpa left me his notebook with your number. He willed me the apartment but said I could only inherit it after winning the duel. He left instructions. You don't mind, do you? And he? Unfortunately, yes. Diabetes. My condolences. Alex genuinely felt a pang of loss. I'm Alex. I know. Your Globe, she giggled. Yeah, that's right, Alex replied, tears in his eyes. G8. Mississippi. By the way, would you like to grab a coffee? You were the last person Grandpa talked to regularly before he passed. I studied in another city and rarely visited, and we didn't talk much. Now I realize that was a mistake. I'd love to hear about the duel rules. Grandpa adored them. And I don't have many friends in town, most have moved away. I think we'd have a lot to talk about. What do you think? Coffee, huh? Alex wasn't prepared for this. Sure, I guess we could try. Or, if you don't mind, tea with crackers. Give me your number, and I'll call you in a few days. Write it down. 8. Are you staying at Grandpa's place? For a while, yes, until I finish the inheritance process. After that, we'll see. Then let's stick to the home line. I like it better. By the way, it's your turn.